Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 3. We'll present about modern versus traditional Islamic approaches to logic. Here are our group members. First, Nur Syafiqah, and me, myself, Shahira Atika, and Nurul Aqilah, and the last one is Norhassyira Adila. Logic helps humans to think rationally and make decisions based on Sharia and Islam. That means logic plays a significant role in human reasoning and decision-making. Within the Islamic tradition, two distinct approaches to logic have emerged over time: traditional Islamic approach and the modern approach. For the history of logic, firstly, Greek origins. Greek origins, Aristotle arranged logic systematically, stemming from Greek logic and evolving significantly during the 19th and 20th centuries. And for Islamic traditional Islamic logic, the origins, it developed during the Islamic Golden Age by notable scholars such as Al-Kindi, Ibn Sina, and also Imam Al-Ghazali. But it influenced by Aristotelian logic, to lo- but adapted to align with Islamic theology and philosophy. And now we move to the first traditional Islamic logic. It based on linguistic rational proof and textual evidence guides religions and philosophical discourse. Meanwhile, modern logic focuses on symbolic, languages, technology, and empirical methods, not tied to any region, and it used in fields like AI, computer science.
Right now, I'll continue with the methodology that we use to conduct this research. So basically, we use the library research method to analyze the primary and secondary literature. This study begins with a review of works of our famous Islamic logicians, namely Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, and Al-Ghazali. So we also include the contemporary Islamic scholars' writings and materials, such as from Fazlur Rahman and also Muhammad Iqbal. So the research aimed to clarify the fundamental topics and techniques and also terminology that distinguish between the traditional Islamic perspective on logic through in-depth review and reading of relevant texts, and it widens the study scope from traditional perspective to include the modern interpretations of logic within Islamic philosophy while engaging with the current scholarly debates and conflicts.
Next, comparison between traditional and modern logic. Here is comprehensive comparison of their purpose, features or characteristic, and application. First, traditional. The purpose of traditional is for faith and divine understanding. That means it primarily aims at strengthening faith and achieving divine understanding. Meanwhile, for modern, it focuses for solving technical problems. And then next, for the features. Traditional, human thought, mantik concepts, and syllogism kias. So that means that based on linguistic analysis, rational proof, and textual evidence from Quran Hadith. And it also emphasizes reasoning through syllogism, which means kias and deductive process to derive conclusion. Whereas for modern, the features symbolic logic, algorithm, and mathematical models means that it centers around symbolic logic, algorithm, and empirical method, utilizes mathematical models and symbolic languages to formalize reasoning. And the last one for application. Traditional approach, it used theology and philosophical. Meanwhile, for modern, it used programming AI and also data analysis.
Alright, now moving on to the finding and discussion of our research. So basically, the ancient writings established logic as a crucial tool for intellectual discovery in Islamic learning. So it used was oftenly limited to philosophy, law, and also theology. And critics of conventional techniques say that these writings offer valuable insights, but are limited to their historical and cultural context. And modern scholars believe that the classical framework may not be flexible enough to address the current and modern intellectual and social difficulties, while they emphasize the need to place Islamic thought within the modern intellectual frameworks, including the science and technology. Contemporary literature often criticizes traditional Islamic logic for being too rigid, stating that classical methodologies can hinder intellectual creativity. But these arguments show that Islamic logic needs a few approach that adheres to its core ideas but incorporates modern instruments and views.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Aqilah binti Salahuddin, and I will continue the presentation with the application of modern logic in Islamic approaches. So, in today's rapidly evolving the world, the application of modern logic in Islamic approaches has become crucial for addressing contemporary issue challenge and ensuring the continued relevance of Islamic thoughts. So, the first point is about analyzing the contemporary issue. Analyzing the contemporary issues is about modern logic can help address polemics in Islamic society such as the use of the word Allah by non-Muslim, and also about logical reasoning aids in providing balanced, rational, faith-based solutions to maintain the purity of belief. And the second point is defending Islamic faith. So defending the Islamic faith can help safeguard Islamic belief from deviant thought by using sound reasoning to refute misconception. It also can strengthen the intellectual foundation of faith against modern ideological challenge. So the third point is a practical guidance for daily life. For your information, logic can serve as a tool not just for academic study, but also making rational decisions in daily life. It can ensure Muslims to remain relevant and systematic in evolving where the next point is about critical and analytical thinking. So it can promote the ability to think critically, analytically, essential for addressing contemporary societal challenges, and also can encourage Muslims to engage with modern issues while upholding Islamic principles. The last point is about the modern logic also can be applied in integration with science and technological because it combines logical principle with scientific research and method like deduction and induction. So it will encourage advancement in science and technology through systematic and critical thinking. The next point is about pedagogical perspective on the application of logic in education. The first one is about introduction to logic in education that can foster high order thinking skills. And the second is the integrating logic into curriculum. This program can be designed to improve analysis and evaluation skill. The third point is about broader pedagogical goals, means that to prepare students for complex academic and the real life work challenge. And then teaching strategies to develop logical thinking is about teaching the strategies how to develop the critical thinking or analytical thinking. And the next one is the historical perspective about Islamic scholarship and the logic. It can be core component of Islamic education like Al-Quran or Hadith. It can be also contribution of early Muslim philosophers like Al-Farabi or Ibn Sina and so on. And the last one is application in legal reasoning, which is Sharia law, to interpret legal texts and rulings. That's all from me. Thank you.
So, I will continue with philosophical implication. Logic has been incorporated into Islamic philosophy as a crucial instrument for ethical discussion, legal reasoning, and theoretical debate. Nonetheless, contemporary methods of using Islamic logic differ greatly from those of the past. This development has significant philosophical implications, both positive and negative, and it has shaped the development of Islamic thinking in the modern day. So, these are some positive and negative philosophical implications towards traditional and modern Islamic approach to logic. First one, philosophical implication for traditional Islamic approach to logic from positive sides. First, preservation for intellectual heritage. Islamic traditional logic acts as a link to earlier intellectual achievement philosophers like Avicenna and Al-Ghazali, upheld a strong tradition of philosophical investigation that now serves as an inspiration to contemporary thinkers by conserving and modifying Aristotle and Stoic logical framework. Muslims feel enriched in a rich intellectual legacy and have a sense of identity because of this continuity. Second, the positive implication of traditional Islamic approach to logic is unity for knowledge. Islamic theology, Aqidah, ethic, and law are all integrated with reason in traditional logic. This developed a holistic perspective in which spiritual awareness and intellectual research are inextricably linked. A balanced viewpoint that avoids the division between faith and reason sometimes observed in other faiths is fostered by such oneness. Next, move to the negative philosophical implication for traditional logic. Firstly, separation and firmness. Over time, traditional logic became increasingly academic, focusing on complicated theoretical discussion rather than practical application. For instance, discussion of abstract syllogism occasionally took preference over discussion of contemporary social or scientific issues, making the field less approachable for the larger Muslim community. And then the last one is the negative side is resistance and innovation. Consideration for traditional paradigm frequently result in a hesitancy to adopt fresh ideas or approaches. The intellectual development of Islamic thinking was suppressed by the resistance, especially when it comes to the modern era's philosophical and scientific revolution. Then, positive philosophical implication for modern logic is adaptability to contemporary challenges. Modern methods and concepts are incorporated into modern Islamic logic to handle concerns like pluralism, secularism, and technological progress. For example, Islamic viewpoint of bioethics, environment sustainability, and human rights are articulated with the aid of contemporary reasoning, granting their relevance in international discussion. Next, promotion of critical thinking skill. Muslims are encouraged to critically interact with both modern issue and traditional literature using modern techniques. By encouraging intellectual creativity, this critical thinking makes it possible to interpret Islamic teaching in new methods that meet the demands of modern society. Last but not least, negative philosophical implication towards modern logic. Over-reliance on secular framework. Traditional scholars and supporters may become hostile if secular concepts from Western philosophy and science are incorporated. So, this depends could weaken the uniqueness of Islamic thought and give the impression that it is inferior to non-Islamic epistemologies if it is not properly balanced. To conclude, while there are positive and negative aspects to both traditional and modern approach to Islamic logic, combining them could pave the way for the revival of Islamic philosophy. To prevent undermining the core of Islamic intellectual and spiritual tradition, this synthesis must be handled cautiously. To conclude, we have explored the intricate evolution of Islamic logic, tracing its development from traditional foundations to contemporary or modern interpretation. And then the second one, a significant finding of this study is the contrast between traditional and modern approaches to logic. And the last one is emphasize the need for a more integrated approach to recognize the historical context while addressing modern challenges. So that's all from us. Thank you.